Sports Director Nick Carboni here in the WCNC Plus Live Impact News studio, and we are talking about Charlotte FC, as hot as they've been in MLS play. Big one at home this weekend against Real Salt Lake, and calling that game for MLS Season Pass is Tony Husband. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Always good to be with you, and always good to look forward to a game in Charlotte as well. And the run into the season really gets underway now, and the Crown at home certainly pretty well placed.
Yeah, so you were telling me you did some Leagues Cup in Charlotte as well the last few weeks, and I'm like, well, I'm glad we got the Charlotte FC that was streaking in the MLS play before that. What did you make of their dip into Leagues Cup and the tournament overall for Major League Soccer so far?
Well, I think Leagues Cup this year came in with a new format. You had to basically start on fire to progress to the quarterfinal stages, because only 4 teams out of the 18 teams in MLS would make the quarterfinals. Same goes for the Mexican clubs. If you didn't start well, you were really up against it right off the bat. So, as Dean Smith said, really 45 bad minutes against Juarez cost his team a chance to progress too far in the tournament. I think take that 45 minutes away at the very beginning in their first game, and they didn't play too badly. I mean, there's always going to be an opportunity as well to try a few things out, try some different players, give some players a rest when you have other competitions, whatever they might be. And now the focus, of course, though, is right back to MLS play. And, of course, Leagues Cup didn't come without its costs. Pep Biel is out for another few weeks as he nurses his hamstring injury. So it just goes to show, these things can be great. These things can also come at the wrong time for you. You never quite know in the rich tapestry that is a season of soccer competition across different competitions. But they come out of it. A great result in Cincinnati last week. That was exactly what they would have wanted to bounce back, to get a road win as well, because this team's been poor on the road, to be frank. That's what they wanted going into now. The run-in, which has 5 home games left. And I think Charlotte probably needs to win all 5 of those if they're to actually puncture that kind of top 4.
You can find him in the booth at Bank of America Stadium on Saturday. You can find him on X at Tony Husband. Tony, Charlotte have now won 5 in a row in league play. What is clicking for this team that is clearly back on the upswing despite some big changes? Patrick Adjumong leaves, Pep Biel goes out, they still win without him. What do you think is working best right now for Charlotte?
Well, I think it's what's worked really pretty well since Dean Smith came in. They're a difficult team to beat. They're very strong at home. If you start from those foundations, you're generally going to do quite well. It's then what can you add? What is the star quality, and what are the frills you can almost add to a team if you've got those first 2 kind of qualities that I mentioned. Wilfried Zaha has found form. There's no doubt about that. He's now got 9 goal contributions in as many games. He could take a little place in the MLS record books if he could make it 10 this weekend against RSL. Pep Biel, when he's been fit, has been absolutely outstanding this season. A different level of player to what we saw last year. And there's also been players around the fringes of the team, and I mean that by saying on the wide side, Abada has really played his part when it's mattered. And Kerwin Vargas I've been more impressed with this season as well. And I know that they've been working on him and working on some parts of his game. And I think we've seen an improvement in his performance. So you add all those little parts together, and Idan Toklamati was a player that they were pretty high on even before Patrick Adjumong was sold. He is definitely a piece of the puzzle up top that Dean Smith has plenty of faith in. Key thing, of course, though, for this group right now is that they don't suffer any more injuries in this stretch.
Yeah, Toklamati, has he sort of taken the pressure off of this organization in this transfer window to add that high production goal scorer? And what have you made of their approach so far? They pick up Tuffalo at left back. They add Archie Goodwin, a young striker yesterday, kind of an ascending player. And then they surprised all of us by going out and getting a keeper from Miami and Drake Callender.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they're building, aren't they? They're building blocks. They haven't taken the big swing that you wondered that they might do. But I'll go back to what I said about Toklamati. They've been pretty high on him since he came into the side and started to get minutes, even when Patrick Adjumong was here. They've banked a fantastic profit for him, and I think they feel now in bringing Archie Goodwin in, there's a player who, again, they can develop. Dean Smith likes what he sees as a former Adelaide man. Already scored a lot of goals in the Australian League. He's taking a step up from going from that league to playing in MLS. He's not going to have a lot of time to find his feet, but he will provide some competition. You've got two young and hungry strikers there now in Toklamati and in Goodwin when he becomes available. And Toffolo will bring a lot of experience as well when he is available to play. I mean, they're waiting for that visa to come through any day now, any hour now almost. And he will be a good addition to the group going forward as well.
Yeah, part of what made the Calendar acquisition so, befuddling, I guess, in Charlotte was Kalina's performance and really back in top form at Cincinnati. It was probably his best game of the season. What did you make of the move to add Calendar? And does it say anything at all about Kalina's future or the rest of this season for Kalina? Or is it just adding talent in net and they've got lots of competitions over the next couple of years?
Well, I think that Calendar was right for a move because for whatever reasons, I think it seemed like a moment for him to move on from Miami. It didn't look like he was likely going to get the number one goalkeeping spot back imminently there with Oscar Astari playing in goal and also with having made another signing in the summer as well. So the right time for him, an American player, good age, goalkeepers have lots of longevity. And who knows, you never know about the future. I mean, Kalina has come over to the States. He's been a goalkeeper of the year. I don't know what the long-term future might hold for him, but you've got a sense Calendar's a number one in waiting. I mean, he's a player. He hasn't come to just sit on the bench for the next couple of years of his career. I mean, and David Bingham has actually done pretty well as well when he's been called upon. So the goalkeeping depth is really, really deep right now for the Crown. It puts them in good stead whether they do lose a goalkeeper going forward in a longer-term future, but it also means they're in good shape right now as well. But I agree with you on Kalina. I think he's had a difficult few games this season. He was goalkeeper of the year last year, absolutely outstanding. Any mistake a goalkeeper makes is always highlighted because they're the only one on the field, and sometimes I think they get undue prominence sometimes if they make a slight error. Because players can do that all around the field and they get away with it. There's no hiding place for a goalkeeper. Kalina, unfortunately, has found that a couple of times this season.
You mentioned Zaha's 9 straight matches with a goal contribution, and boy, have they needed him in this form at this particular time. Do you think he's just making the adjustment finally to MLS, or is it tactical, or is it a mixture?
Probably a mixture. I think when he came in, he'd been playing in Turkey. He's a player who I watched play in England a lot, and I was so pleased to see him come to MLS because I felt that he kind of had every quality that there would be to be a star in an American sports environment. He's a player that when he's happy, that fantastic smile he can produce on his face, the quality he can bring, the way he can lift fans out of their seats. He can do things on a soccer field that very few others can do. Dean Smith has said, there are moments where he's unplayable. We've also seen moments where he's cut a frustrated figure as he adapts to the league. He would have never played in a league with the roster rules that MLS has, where you have quite a range of talent across a roster from top to bottom. And getting used to that for these players who are individually such high-end skilled players, sometimes that can be difficult when you look across the group. And some people can't do what you think, well, you should be able to do that, but maybe it doesn't always come to pass in a team where the roster is broad. But I think we're starting to see more and more. I still think there's a bit more we can see from him. I think there's more in his locker. There are more moments where he can leave us spellbound. And if he does, then this is going to be hopefully a very prosperous finish to the year for the Crown.
As we continue to follow this football season for Charlotte FC and prepare for the American football season for the Panthers, I just go back to the old adage in the NFL that teams want to play their best football in November and December, and the coaches that are best at getting that out of their teams at those times do the best and have the most success in the playoffs. From your experience with Dean Smith in this league last year and then perhaps in England, what is it about his managerial style that might make this upswing something that we'll see last through October and November?
Well, I think I'll give you another bit of, quoting the American form of football, defense wins championships. Yep. And, if you've got that solid foundation and this group, there's no doubt about it, are very strong defensively and are very well organized. Dean Smith has, a very affable way about him when he speaks to the media every week. And when you see him often on the sidelines in a game, he'll stand there, he'll be watching quietly. But he can be strong-worded as well behind the scenes. He can be harsh, he can be strong. He can really, tear into players if he feels that's what the message that needs to be conveyed. It's mastering all the different arts of communication that a manager needs these days. That mix between being able to put your arms around a player and also needing to be really tough, give them some tough love when it matters. He's got the experience. He knows what it's like to chase playoff type positions and play in playoff games as well. And of course, he's had a year of doing it in MLS as well, and he's seen the pain of having to play a first-round playoff game last year that went to 3 matches, and of course, they came out on the wrong side of a 2-1 defeat against Orlando, and I think he's learned a little bit from that as well. I would have a lot of faith in him being very well positioned to help this team navigate the next few months, and as you say, to finish hot, because that is absolutely what matters. If you're finishing strong in October and getting a good position for the bracket, then you're in a good position, full stop. And of course, Charlotte in the playoffs, at home, in November, big crowd. I don't think anybody in MLS, would want to be the opposing team in that scenario.
Sounds great to me, Tony. Despite this franchise best streak, they've had trouble pushing past 7th. And this was a team that came into the year and even after that playoff loss last year, had a stated goal of 4th or better in the East. Is that attainable at this point? What do you think the ceiling is with a good couple of months here to end things?
Well, they have these 5 home and 3 away of the remaining 8 games they'll play. I mean, I feel they've got to win the 5 at home. They haven't played well away. That's what's cost them, ultimately. And that's what's going to make getting in that top 4 quite difficult. Columbus are above them, have a game in hand. Miami are above them, have 3 games in hand. If those teams produce any kind of decent form as we go into the fall, then they're likely to edge above them. The Eastern Conference in MLS is absolutely stacked. It's by some way this year the strongest conference of the 2. You've got a lot of good teams up there. I mean, we just talked about Miami and Columbus. They're not in that top 4. We saw Orlando dismantle Miami last Sunday on Sunday Night Soccer, and they're up in 4th. Nashville have been very strong this year and have got a Golden Boot contender in Sam Surridge. Philadelphia have had a tremendous year. So, this conference is really, really strong. There's going to be some pretty decent teams that will not even make it into the playoffs on the wild cards this year. For the crowd now, to achieve that top 4, it's going to be tough. But all they can do is keep winning and beating what's in front of them. If they do that, particularly with those home games, they give themselves a shot, because other teams will take points off each other along the way.
All right, well, there is another team coming into the stadium this weekend. I haven't mentioned them, and I'll wrap up with this, Tony, as you're calling the game. What do you make of this matchup between Charlotte and Salt Lake, which currently sit 10th in the Western Conference table?
Well, Salt Lake are a side that haven't prospered too much on the road this year. They are just a little lower in their conference than where Charlotte find themselves. They're a team that are used to playing in playoffs year in, year out. They've made a couple of swings in the transfer market, got a couple of new signings that they've made in recent weeks. It'll be interesting to see how far they might push them as far as giving them a start or putting them on the bench this weekend. They've got no Diego Luna, U.S. men's national team star. He's out through suspension. He was sent off in their late defeat at New York Red Bulls last week. That is a real blow for Pablo Mastroeni, who actually went to college up in North Carolina as well. So it's a return to the state for their veteran head coach. They're a difficult opponent, but they're an opponent who, frankly, I think at home Charlotte will seek and try and get all 3 points against. And they should do if they get things right, because with no Luna, that takes a spark away from Salt Lake, who are still trying to embed a couple of new players into the team as well. So I have Charlotte down as pretty strong favorites for this one.
All right, he is Tony Husband. You will hear that voice calling Charlotte FC's match this Saturday. Thanks for lending it to us for a few moments today, Tony.
No problem, Nick. Good to talk to you.